When researching documentaries that are of a similar genre to my product, I use both DVDs and YouTube to view the documentaries and analyse their conventions, thereby gaining influence as to what to include in my product. For example, because of the wide depth of field within the location establishing shots of walking with dinosaurs that formed a large scale and scope, I was influenced to have most of the location shots in my product consist of a very wide depth of field to produce a very similar effect. Whereas, when researching what locations to use as filming locations, I roamed through various countryside locations and used an iPhone 6 camera to shoot a photograph of each of them. Thereby, when viewing them during planning and production, I would decide what locations would be the most appropriate to use for shooting. Also, when researching the technical aspects of the editing software, Adobe Photoshop Video Editor, I shot a video of the location with my own iPhone 6 camera, then shot various different shots of my T-Rex dinosaur model, and composed 2 of the images into the timeline that I repeated while moving each image to the right, which produced the illusion that the character was walking independently. From doing so, I discovered the technicality of how the video editing software works. Most of the planning was produced on a pitch that I formed through Microsoft PowerPoint, on which I wrote, stating about my product's comedic style and mockumentary genre, and also the characters and their traits, the locations that I planned on using for shooting, and the overall storyline of my product. When making the animatic, I used a Canon camera with 1080p high definition to shoot the animatic images, and then used the video editing software Cyberlink PowerDirector 13 to chronologically organize the images in the timeline. Then I used Video Downloader Ultimate to download the music of the video Jurassic Park theme song with lyrics by Golden Tusk, which I used as the soundtrack for my animatic. Also, when writing a part of the product's screenplay, I wrote it on Blogger. Therefore, when I would need the screenplay portion, I would use my iPhone Safari app to read it as a reminder of what the dialogue consists of in the scene. While shooting both the location and the stop-motion sequences, I used the camera Nikon L810 because of its high definition of 1080p. Also, during post-production, I used Adobe Premiere and Cyberlink PowerDirector 13 to organize the recorded clips in chronological order. I also used the Adobe Photoshop Video Editor and Adobe Premiere to form the stop-motion shots. This I did so with Adobe Premiere with the Color Key tool, while with Adobe Premiere Video Editor, I chronologically organized the dinosaur images into frames. I also used Adobe Photoshop to form my ancillary tasks, which I did so with the newspaper advertisement and double-page listings magazine by layering the dinosaur images and the text boxes on the background image of the Dave Rattenborough character. And when forming the Steadicam camera movement of the compilation sequence during the opening sequence, I used Windows Movie Maker by editing the images with the tools Pan Up and Pan Left. And when composing my valuation, I wrote it all with Microsoft PowerPoint, as it was simple to give it a professional appearance through background color change. Also, I separated each question into A's, B's, C's, and D's, which allowed me to discuss each question in as much detail as possible. And this would have been much more difficult if I responded to the overall question in one slide, rather than more than one. Therefore, in researching various documentaries, I used both home media and the internet, which gave me influence as to what to include in my product, and I also used my iPhone 6 camera to shoot images of the locations I planned on using, while using Adobe Photoshop Video Editor to research how it works. While during planning, I used Microsoft PowerPoint to make my pitch and used Canon camera, Cyberlink PowerDirector 13, and YouTube Downloader and Video Downloader Ultimate to make my animatic. And when writing a portion of the screenplay, I used Blogger, which I would later look up during production. And during production and post-production, I used Nikon L810 to shoot the sequences and used the software Adobe Premiere, Cyberlink PowerDirector 13, and Adobe Photoshop Video Editor to edit the overall product, and also used Adobe Photoshop to form my ancillary tasks. Finally, when writing my evaluation, I used Microsoft PowerPoint to give it a professional appearance and separate portions of each question.